So good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, April 9th, 2020. The time is 9:01 a.m. Calling this meeting to order. This is our second amended agenda for our community development organization. Also joining us here is our director, David Callahan. On the phone is Civil Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Pat Braden, also Vlad Finkel, the planner. Attending in person, Commissioners Duncan and Filios. Joining us by phone, Commissioner Bill Brooks. I'll call for the Pledge of Allegiance. And David, since you're the one here,
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Little delay there on the phone.
that was interesting.
That was fun.
Okay. Do we have any, as far as my opening comments, I really don't have any. Polling my co-commissioners for conflicts of interest, do we have any?
So it's not a conflict of interest, but the Glades literally is my southern property line of my house.
And
my
do you
property.
feel you're able to make an objective
Absolutely.
determination? Okay,
Yep.
fine. All right then. Do we have any changes to the agenda? Hearing none. Moving on to our first of deliberations, which is case number MSF 200003, The Glades, formerly known as McCarthy Estates, a request by McCarthy Capital, Inc. for final subdivision approval of the Glades Phase 1, consisting of 13 residential lots and one tract for future, Phase 2, of a preliminary approved 26-lot residential subdivision in case number MSP 18-0003 on approximately 136.7 acres in the rural zone. Vlad, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Vlad Finkel with Kootenai County Community Development. Based on the information provided in your folder this morning, staff has prepared a recommendation with assessment of all of the conditions of approval set forth in the preliminary order of decision just cited by you. And upon our review, we have confirmed that the applicant has complied or will comply through appropriate bonding with all of the originally imposed conditions of approval. I stand for any questions that you have at this time.
Sure. Do you actually do site visits, Vlad, to make sure the conditions are met?
That's correct, Commissioner Duncan. I have visited this site, I believe, at the end of February of this year. The applicant has installed all of the necessary water infrastructure improvements associated with this project site. He's currently in the process of making the improvements to the road, and he has recently signed a road development agreement with the Lakes Highway District in order to appropriately bond for all of the remaining improvements.
Okay.
Okay. Bill, any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. I've read the material, and it looks like it's all in order.
Okay. I actually have one more question.
Sure.
Does this mean that they can apply for building permits now,
Only after it's recorded with the clerk and recorder.
which happens quickly?
Well,
Go ahead, Vlad.
based on our current rules and regulations, they would have to have all of the improvements, shared infrastructure improvements in place in order to get a building permit. However, they can't start with a model home, and as far as I know, our department is working on modifying the current rules and regulations to allow for submittal of building permits while the improvements are being constructed.
Got it.
David, did you want to?
Just to piggyback on that, so we've told builders, since you have agreed to a code amendment change, that we'll process a building permit, just not release it until they've actually recorded the plat. The reason I say it that way is we don't let the plat be recorded till everything Vlad just said is true.
Okay. All right, then I move we approve case number MSF 20-0003, the Glades, for their phase 1.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks,
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chair Philios?
Aye, and the motion is carried. Case number MSF 20-0003 is approved. Moving on to item B, case number MSF 20-0004, Lone Mountain Estates, LME, 4th edition. It's a request by JT Holdings LLC for final subdivision approval of LME 4th edition, Phase 1, consisting of 22 residential lots and 1 tract for LME 5th edition, Phase 2 of preliminarily approved 40-lot residential subdivision in case number MSP 19-0004 on approximately 210 acres in the rural zone. Vlad, please.
Thank you, Chairman Philios. This is similarly the same request as the one we just discussed. This is a final plat of a preliminarily approved major subdivision. The applicant has submitted all of the necessary documentation associated with the original conditions of approval imposed with the preliminary plat. We have reviewed them, and the applicant has either made the improvements or submitted appropriate bonding for all of the remaining improvements to be constructed in the near future. As such, we recommend approval of the final plat request at this time.
Concerns, questions?
Nope.
Motion.
I move that we approve case number MSF 20-0004, Lone Mountain Estates, 4th edition.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks?
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chair Philios?
Aye. So case number MSF 20-0004, Lone Mountain Estates, LME, 4th edition is approved. Moving on to item C, case number MSF 20-0002, a request by Aspen Homes and Development LLC for final approval of Riverview Heights CDS, a major subdivision consisting of a 25 residential lot, gated, conservation design subdivision on approximately 53.91 acres in the agricultural suburban zone. Vlad?
Thank you, Chairman Philios. This is also a request for a final plat. The applicant has submitted the necessary documentation to support compliance with the original conditions of approval imposed in the preliminary decision. We have reviewed all of these conditions, and we believe that the applicant is in compliance or will be in compliance with the conditions through appropriate bonding. One point I'd like to make is that as of Tuesday of this week, which would be April 7th, we did receive a follow-up comment from Greens Ferry Water District with some minor changes to the bonding associated with the water connection hookups. I have discussed it with the Water District Manager, John Austin, and we agreed that it is an insignificant change that should have no impact on your ability to approve this case at this time. And therefore, we still stand by our recommendation to approve this request.
Okay. Questions? Motion.
I move we approve case number MSF 20-0002. This is for Aspen Homes LLC for final approval of Riverview Heights CDS.
I second the motion.
Bill Brooks?
Aye.
Commissioner Duncan?
Aye.
Chair Philios?
Aye, so case number MSF 20-0002 is approved. And that concludes the deliberation segment of our meeting this morning. Moving on to our business segment with community development, which is updates. Item number 1 is a discussion of AIN 128085. It's an information item. Director Callahan.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Board. The item before you came to us through your staff. There's apparently an interest in buying this plot of land. It was created in 1903 by plat, but conveyed, interestingly, to the county in 1940. And the information we've been able to find shows that it's actually been used as a cemetery ever since. There's memo in your e-file to that effect, because it explains this. There's other information in your e-file, like, let me just see if I can pull up. This is the sort of information we relied on. If you were to zoom in to this, you'd see it's acknowledging that the county accepted this in 1940, and the staff in that time recognized this as a cemetery. So our thought is you certainly could sell this if you want to, but it should necessarily have a deed restriction on it that says the land may only be used as a cemetery. And then the other thing we might consider is, it's obviously been in the county's ownership for a very long time, 70 years. And I don't know that anyone in the county has been doing anything to it. I don't know how it's been maintained. But I don't know that there's any particular harm with the county holding on to it. So it's really your discretionary call as to whether you want to let this go with a deed restriction.
Did you say a member of our staff was interested in purchasing it?
No, I
No,
didn't
no.
say that.
Oh, I thought that's what, okay.
No.
It's been the South Texas drawl, sorry.
Oh, okay. Thoughts?
I'll contact Parks and Waterways just because they do a lot with all of our county-owned property, and
See
so.
if they've been maintaining it.
Yeah, just see if they've been maintaining it. So, do you know if it's been, like, active in the 2000s? I mean,
I couldn't find any records to that
Okay.
effect. Mary, let me bounce back up here. We found a few other things. Again, these are just county records, used as a cemetery. There's headstones out there. And that was 2005.
Okay.
I thought we might actually see if we could get some boots on the ground and see what we see out there.
right.
Because that would help us decide what sort of deed restriction you might
Yeah,
place
that
on
would
it.
be very good.
Sure.
I'm sorry, Pat, did you want to say something?
Just been the boots on the ground suggestion by Mr. Callahan, I think is a very good idea.
Okay.
And secondly, Parks and Waterways has kind of been overseeing, either maintaining or overseeing the maintenance of a few of these around the county. So there's some history there, and so we'll just, we'll want to bring Nick into the loop
Sure.
on this particular one. And he may have some more input on that.
I'm fine with that.
Okay. And then,
Okay.
Pat, if somebody does want to buy it and we deed restricted, it's still tax exempt, isn't it, for cemeteries?
I believe so.
Okay.
I'd have to confirm that, but I believe that's.
So the one reason to unload it is Nick would have less to do.
Sure.
Okay. All right,
All
so
right.
Commissioner Leslie Duncan will talk with Nick and we'll go from there.
Yep.
Item number 2, discussion of AIN 256820, also informational. Director Callahan.
Another possible bid sale, I've highlighted on the screen and it's in your electronic file too. This is the actual land in question. You see the little green is a portion of a private road that leads to these residences. There is a, back out of here, memo that explains when this was created, how it was transferred over, and that we could sell it, but if you do, again, it should only go to the neighbors next door, because it makes no sense for anyone else to have it.
Okay. Thoughts, Leslie, Bill?
Nope. Makes sense.
No, it makes sense to me.
Okay, that's 3 of us.
So we'll get with Terry and
And,
have these brought
and-
forward to you.
Yeah, at a business meeting, absolutely. Okay, thank you. Item number 3, dealing with location permits that have not been completed, potential action item. Director Callahan.
Board, you'll recall that location permits were part of the opt-out process. If you had a chance to open these files, you'll see there's 140 something of these that are still in some
Pending.
phase of
Mhm.
things. And among the things that's difficult for us, and the reason that we're here before you, is we're trying to clean up these things so they don't hang indefinitely. By that, I mean, I don't want the owners to realize that they don't actually have a location permit yet, in some cases. Because if you had a chance to look at these, you'll see a good number of them, everything's ready to go. They just haven't come by, paid the money, and done the final bit of it and picked it up. There are other degrees of process involved. Some have not given us everything we need, some somewhere in between those two, you can pick something. But what we thought we'd do is, since all of these we've tried emailing and got no response, and it's been some time now since the program ended, we thought we'd start with just regular US mail, send a letter saying, want to remind you, you still have this pending, we can still complete it, but we need to hear from you, and whatever it is. And then we assume that'll call some number out of these, a useful number, and then we thought, depending on how we go after the regular mail, go to certified mail and give them another month and say, we need to hear from you, otherwise we're going to cut this off, because I don't want these hanging out there indefinitely,
Right.
is the concern. And this is one of those cases where the ordinance was not precise, that created the opt-out. It didn't say how these things should go on if they're not actually completed.
Right.
So we're really just trying to reach out to people, get them to finish it up, and then if we don't hear from them, we'd like your permission to say, we're going to cut this off.
Okay. As far as staff time, are you guys, is your workload low enough that you can take this on right now? Because
Yeah, we'll use form letters.
okay.
And they really fall into three groups, that we have three form letters, like the ones that are ready to be picked up. We just need to hear from you.
Okay.
The second form letter is, we're waiting for you to do such and so.
Okay.
And then the other important part of this, you see, can you see on this 40-something of these
Yeah.
by Aspen Homes?
Yeah, I was just going to
Yeah.
ask you.
Well, this is one project. They bought 40-something lots south of Twin Lakes. They're tiny lots, they're too small for conventional homes. They want to build cabins, and they got the opt-out for all these. The reason these are still pending for 40-something is that Aspen has a rather difficult site disturbance permit to do with us that they still haven't finished. It's difficult because the road's steep and narrow and needs fire district approval, has lots of grading and places retaining walls. We were having a hard time getting the engineer on their side to give us sufficient information. I think we finally got through that, but now they actually need to do the work.
Okay.
And so once they do, 40 of these go away.
Okay.
So 40 out of 140.
Right.
Okay. So that's why I think we can deal with it.
Okay.
And the rest are individual owners?
Yes, sir.
So what I was also thinking is, if we have anybody on admin leave throughout the county,
Oh,
maybe you wanted to use them to make phone calls.
Whatever works.
yeah, that could be handy.
So we
Would I
can,
coordinate with HR?
you would coordinate with probably Nancy Jones to send out a management team
Oh, okay.
email.
And they
And solicit
just call me.
volunteers, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
solicit volunteers
I'll ask
essentially.
Nancy then.
Okay,
That's a good idea.
yeah, because I was just thinking maybe phone calls might be a little bit, right now, less time consuming, and then the ones that they don't get a hold of,
Yeah.
then follow up
And
with
you
the
can go with
letters.
And just so you know, the way we've reached out to these people the first round, because we tried to reach them all,
Sure,
is email first, and then depending on how much time we have, we call.
yeah,
But we just haven't gotten a response on all of these so far. But it doesn't hurt to call again.
okay.
Okay.
I'm fine.
And I actually did see one person on there, and I had a conversation with them this week, and I said, hey, how's that going? Oh, yeah, I called today. I'm going to check in, I'll check up and,
Oh,
and
good,
stuff. So,
good.
yeah, so I know that,
I think
It's
a
on
number
some
of people
people's-
applied just to get,
yeah,
to
just to
the
get their foot
option.
in the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
do you need a motion from us?
Oh,
I mean, you've got direction,
I
right?
think consent, is it a consensual agreement? We'll do a mail notice and then certified mail.
That's fine.
And then we're gonna cut them off.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You okay, Bill?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Thank you. And then the last item, item number 4, whether to seek an injunction for structure without a permit, CV, which is code violation, 19-0194 potential action item. Director Callahan, go.
Mr. Chairman, Board, the basics of this I just put in bullets on the screen. We have a neighbor next to Mr. Robertson that's made a complaint, and we've been out in the field and verified that, and actually recorded the notice of violation, and then in January placed a stop order on a building in the Bonanza Ranch subdivision.
That's what I figured.
Yeah, it gets more complicated than that. Bear with me a second. I was trying to get rid of the read-only, but somebody got into it before I did.
I think, I can close it out.
That's all right. I was just gonna show you what you already know, which is Bonanza Ranch.
Right.
But in this case, it would have been a structure that doesn't need a building permit if it weren't over 10 feet in height. I'll show you a picture in just a moment that says, it makes it unambiguous. It is.
Okay.
More like 20 something, but anyway, it needs a building permit. It gets complicated in the fact that the person that's alleged to be staying out there is mostly in an RV, which they're not supposed to be in for past an intermittent period of time. And the owner of the property is the son of the man that's staying in the RV.
Oh my
And
goodness.
the owner has told us that Dad only goes to the structure I'm gonna show you periodically to warm up. Pretty soon, I'll have him moved off the property and this will all come together and be fine. And I'll apply for building permits. That was back in February. Well, here we are a month later, the neighbors are still upset. What, the usual, why isn't the county doing something? And I'll show you a picture that shows it looks like this structure is still being used in a way that could be a fire hazard. It has, the most worrisome part is it has some sort of wood burning stove in it that we haven't seen, we don't know anything about it. You will see the smoke coming out of the picture I'm going to show you. And that could be dangerous because it hasn't been inspected, we don't know what it is. It probably hasn't been installed right. And that could be a hazard not only to the man that's staying there, but to the neighbors. If this thing catches on fire, Bonanza Ranch is pretty heavily forested and there's lots of lots.
Is this a fire issue that we can talk to the fire people on?
It is, and we could. Actually, and they could be our good allies because I'm just linking to some video.
Is that
pictures.
East Side Fire District? Or is that Kootenai
I'm not
Fire?
sure, I'll have to look into it.
Okay. I'm sorry, Pat?
Yeah, it's KCFR.
Oh, it's Kootenai Fire, okay.
So just to backtrack for a moment, this just shows you that we've actually recorded a notice of violation and we haven't stopped work on the property. To me, the part that's worrisome is it's dangerous and the property owner has told us he's gonna do something that hasn't. So therein might be the usefulness of an injunction. I don't know why it's not letting me get into it.
It wouldn't let me either.
Well, this shows it. This is a structure
Oh
from
my
a distance. You can tell it's got a pretty significant roof and it's more than 10 feet. There's a better picture right here, I think. There you go. There you see the
Okay.
smoke. You can see it's obviously more than 10 feet in height. It's the sort of thing I don't believe you could actually cut this portion off, take the roof off and bring it down to where it doesn't need a building permit
Right.
without more work than this is worth.
Mhm.
So we've said as much to the owner. My thought is if we just, there's a better view of it. It's pretty clear to me they didn't mean for this to be a storage unit, as you can see on the screen. So given that they've promised they were gonna do something and haven't, and that it's a danger, my thought is we authorize Pat to begin legal proceedings. My guess is that'll get movement on the other side. And then meanwhile, I'll contact the fire district. They could help us with their own fire code.
Yeah. So I would probably like to reach out to the fire district first and then start the proceedings if that
After.
doesn't get any movement from
If we don't
them.
get their attention.
Right.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Let's go that
We'll do that.
route and see if we can get it resolved without. Pat, you think that's a good idea?
I think.
Yeah, do having the report on this would be a good thing if the guy's willing to work with them, but certainly the fire district
Okay.
will, can maybe have, give us some leverage there.
Bill, you okay?
I think that would be a nice shot across the bow.
Okay. Okay. So you have direction. All right then. Final item, public comment. 9:27, none. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.